This is the beginning of part 3, The Ark of the Covenant by Michael Fazio, and the brief synopsis where we left off is that this is the Indians' war bonnet encapsulated inside what I have coined the evil seed of death. Everything inside this circular compass is what I call the evil seed of death. And on the opposite side is denoted as the God pod. The reason I represent these as seeds is because these seeds have everything necessary for either death, in this case, which is a bow and arrows, an Indian chief, the great shield, which is also a representation of war itself, the eagle, which is a killing machine, which is a representation of something that kills, and the eagle kills for a living. And then we have the nuclear detonation at the bottom, which is completely different and diametrically opposed to the radiance that appears on the other side of the Ark of the Covenant, known as the reverse of the $1 bill. So everything you see at this point inside this compass that I call the evil seed of death is to do with death. A bow and arrows, an Indian chief, the methodology in which to kill during the time of 1776, the methodology in which the entities that America fought, aka the Indians, their only methodology to kill was a bow and arrows, and they were Indians, which is represented by this headdress, and the feathers which run down the back of the Indian's headdress. These are the feathers that represent it. Although people believe it represents the Masons, once again, these symbolisms were hijacked by the Masons or the Luciferian entities that you understand and that are in fact real, but you understand them to be the creators of these pictographs. That's not the case. I know more about these pictographs than any other human being on the planet Earth, and I plan on explaining as much as I can to you in as much time as I have left. Now, moving past that, there is also the symbolism that is riddled in here with the number 13. And I have found 13 individual pictographs that represent the number 13, whereas nowhere else on earth in any encyclopedia or any definition of what they have found inside what is called the Great Seal, no one has discovered more than 6 individual pictographs having to do with the number 13. In my book, Angels on the Ark by Michael Fazio, I describe 13 individual pictographs that are easily denoted by the pictographs in my book, which is an ebook, which also has the ability to be magnified, turned upside down, or you can have a search engine for words. It's done professionally. However, I am not a writer. I write like I speak, and I speak like I write. However, my information that I transmit to you via the book is sound. Once you wrap your head around the fact that you are getting this information from a guy that built decks and docks for 20 years and owned cranes and barges, that would be me, aka Zolar Craft. Once you get your head around that a carpenter wrote this book with no education and that went out and bought a computer and a camera and a video camera and then went to school to learn how to work a computer, once you get your head around that I am not a professional writer and you move to the aspect of what these pictographs mean, you will see that my knowledge base far exceeds that of any other individual on the planet Earth that is sharing this information. But I can tell you unequivocally, there is no other person on this planet that knows as much about the pictographs on the $1 bill and their relationship to the codices inside the Bible. And that I can tell you unequivocally, I have put forth the challenge for any man, woman, theologian, or college professor on earth to debate me in a public forum, and no one has come forward because they can't. I can prove them wrong. I can do it in minutes. I would make the most intelligent scholar on biblical history of the Bible and the book of Revelation look like a fool inside a matter of minutes. I guarantee you that. Anybody that wants to debate me on a public forum, we will go for it, ladies and gentlemen, and I will make you look like a fool. Because what's on the reverse of the $1 bill and hidden in the codices of the Bible goes far beyond that anybody has ever discovered prior to my book being published on April 15th of 2010. Now, moving past that little sidetrack dissertation, a brief synopsis. This is the evil seed of death. This is a picture of the Indian war chief with this war bonnet and a bow and arrows and the feathers for the headdress. Eagle is a killing machine. This is a nuclear detonation. However, in today's world, the Antichrist was supposed to come back and represent itself as a Luciferian type entity, as an angel that comes from on high like a light or bolt of lightning or flash in the sky, which is denoted by Barack Hussein Obama's name, which is how I came to the understanding that Barack Hussein Obama would be responsible for 2 nuclear detonations at a minimum. He was responsible for 4, but let us leave it at 2 for now. So this entity that is in fact inverted with the Indian war bonnet on it, at the bow and arrows, who was an Indian chief, considering the fact that it is sitting upon a nuclear detonation, this Indian chief becomes Satan, Lucifer, or the light bearer that comes to this world at the end of times to destroy this world via a flash from on high that we had at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. We've already had those flashes. This is the beginning of the end of times, or the time of the ends. And I'm going to prove that to you momentarily. Now I'm going to reduce this, and we're going to go back to the fact that I have said that this is a pictograph of the Ark of the Covenant. And I'm going to review something in words first. And these are the words. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 4, verses 6 through 8. It says, "Also in front of the throne there was what looked like a sea of glass." So something looked like a sea of glass. Remember that, because it's important. I am going to point out something that looks like a crystalline nature, which is crystalline in nature, which is a representation of the sea of glass on the reverse of the $1 bill, and I am going to do that right now. What you are going to look at right now is the representation of the pictograph on the reverse of the $1 bill, represented in verses 6 through 8 as the sea of glass. Now, you may or may not be able to see this because of the resolution, but what you are looking at behind the magnifying glass, and if you take a high-powered microscope or magnifying glass and look at this structured crystalline nature on the reverse of the $1 bill, you are going to see that the word one, everything that you see in this little, it looks like little rectangles, but this is actually a crystalline nature. This is a representation of the sea of glass that is denoted in Revelation chapter 4, verses 6 through 8. To prove this to you, I'm going to go back to this. Also in front of the throne. In front of the throne. In front of the throne. Well, the throne is where the Lord God sat on the mercy seat. The throne is where the Lord God sat on the mercy seat. The Lord God sat in the center of the mercy seat, and this is the throne. So, before the throne is the background of gold, of the golden mercy seat. The gold is the background of the golden mercy seat, and before the mercy seat, or before the throne, is the sea of glass, represented as the word one, and the words "in God we trust" prove that we are talking about the one true God, because the Lord God's first commandment is, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me," which is also given as part of the 10 Commandments, but the most important commandment is, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me." Therefore,